joined in the broadcast booth by Canada's preeminent middleweight fighter, none other than UFC veteran El Dirte himself, Joe Dirksen. Joe, welcome to the Hardcore Championship Fighting.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
The dirty one is in the booth, ladies and gentlemen. Here, Joe Dirt, one of the best middleweights this country has to offer. And of course, he's going to be helping us analyze this middleweight fight, Paul.
Absolutely, and what a fight it is. Canadian middleweight title fight between Fritz the Animal Paul and Nabil the Thrill Khatib. Joe, possible competition for you in the future in that ring tonight.
Well, you know, I'll be keeping my eyes on it. I'll be looking at these guys. You never know who's coming up next, and a lot of times, you know, a guy you've never heard of is one of the toughest fights you've ever had. So I'll be keeping a very interested eye on this fight and, you know, basically watching my back.
El Dirte watching the action, as are we all, and let's get to it, ladies and gentlemen.
J'ai un grand respect pour Nabil, c'est un fighter, puis je respecte tous les fighters. Mais un coup que la cloche, ding, ding, my head is crazy. My name is Fritz Junior Paul. I'm represent Team Nes Martial. I'm leaving Montréal Nord. On fiche de 7-3. On va regarder ça pour ce soir. On va voir qu'est-ce qui va se passer inside the ring.
Well, the Canadian title actually means a lot to me because, I mean, you know, living in Canada, it's important. You know, it's one step at a time. I want to go for the world title, but I think Canadian title is you know, one step towards that. My name is Nabil Khatib. I'm from Rockland, Ontario, and I train out of Team Bushido Martial Arts. I also train with Brazilian top team Canada in Montreal.
Je veux voir qu'est-ce que Nabil a. Je veux voir qu'est-ce qu'il y a dans le cœur. Je suis là. I'm ready.
I don't think he poses any kind of threat. Fritz Paul, he does like to bang, but I like to bang too.
Il y a une seule affaire qui me fait peur. Il y a juste mon père. That's it.
I like to counterpunch. I like to move around the ring. So far, all of my fights have been won on the ground. But I like to stand up. We'll see what happens. If Fritz Paul wants to stand, we'll stand, for sure.
Bringing back the belt to Rockland.
J'ai entendu dire qu'il y avait un bon stand-up. On va voir ça ce soir. Moi, je pense que je vais le soumettre. Just watch it. Watch it. Inside the ring. Hein, man? J'espère que t'es prêt, man. J'espère que t'es prêt. Parce que moi, je suis prêt.
Fritz, have a good fight. I know it's going to be a good fight because I want to bring this belt home to Rockland.
Ladies and gentlemen, this next fight will be fought for the Apex Championship Fighting Canadian middleweight title. It'll be contested over 3 5-minute rounds, and the man in charge inside when the action starts is Philippe Chartier. First, let me introduce in the blue corner from Montreal, Quebec, fighting with Team Nestor. He stands 6 feet tall, weighing in at 184 pounds. He has a professional record of 7 wins, 3 losses. Let's hear it for Fritz, the Animal Paul. And his opponent in the red corner from Rockland, Ontario, fighting out of Team Bushido and BTT Canada. He stands 5 foot 10 inches tall, weighing in at 184 pounds. He has an unblemished professional record of 5 wins, 0 losses. Ladies and gentlemen, Nabil the Thrill Khatib.
Good luck.
And here we go, everything on the line. The Canadian middleweight title hanging in the balance as Nabil the Thrill Khatib faces off against Fritz the Animal Paul.
And Paul just got thrown back there by the ref.
Paul's coming out aggressive. He knows what he wants.
They call him the Animal for a reason, guys.
Paul busting out some traditional martial arts in that sidekick, and who knows what else we'll see from the trick bag of Paul as he hacks a low kick into the thigh of Nabil the Thrill.
The thing I like about Khatib, his face never changes, whether he's getting hit or he's throwing punches. He's very composed, doesn't seem to be intimidated.
The ref was pretty quick going in there, stopping that little leg attack there by Fritz Paul, but as you can see here, Khatib is basically timing all his blows to land with power. He needs to watch when he goes to that low leg kick, Joe. because you never know, one might come upstairs.
Sometimes if you're throwing a low leg kick, your hands are down, the guy can counter with a punch and do some real damage.
Khatib showing some good boxing skills and circling out well, refusing to let himself get caught, penned in a corner.
Khatib's definitely the one moving forward. Fritz Paul seems to be landing a little bit more, and those leg kicks are going to add up real fast if Khatib doesn't start to figure out how to deal with them.
I'm just looking at Fritz Paul's face, and it's like he's playing with Khatib. Khatib has that little frustration look in his eye, but as you can see here, he's still attacking, moving forward.
Both fighters now taking a moment to reassess the situation. And once again, Fritz Paul landing that low leg kick that's been scoring for him steadily since this round began.
Fritz just seems to land that kick every time he throws it. And every time it lands, his confidence increases.
Whoa! Huge leg kick takes Nabil the Thrill to the mat, but he bounces right back up and drives forward, hunting for that double leg takedown.
And now we got them grappling in the corner. Khatib looking for a takedown.
I think that's straight by Paul. Oh, that was a low blow there. That was a low blow.
Very direct knee to the groin.
Yeah, that hurt to hurt for sure. You see the back of Khatib's leg is all red.
Welted from those kicks. I was just going to say, Joe, you can vouch for this. You don't want to spend 3 full 5-minute rounds taking those leg kicks.
No, that adds up real quick, especially with those shin guards. You got the shin just biting into your muscle. Eventually, if he doesn't figure that out, his leg won't work. Now we see Khatib being a little more aggressive, but with his back in the corner.
Charging forward wildly, though, and Fritz Paul incredibly prepared, locking on that clinch as soon as he gets pulled into the ropes. Still not looking out of his element.
Yeah, Fritz is definitely landing, more telling blows, but Khatib seems to be really well composed and doesn't seem to be thrown off by it. He's not intimidated. He's still coming forward and he's still fighting.
Every time Khatib seems to be going for that takedown, Fritz Paul's pretty smart. He's got those double underhooks preventing Khatib from doing anything right there.
Yeah, definitely. I think if Khatib wants to get the takedown, he's going to have to set it up with some punches first.
Looks like he's getting frustrated in there, Joe.
Dominant striking game from Fritz the Animal Paul, living up to his name with some hard hooks, Muay Thai clinch work, and Nabil the Thrill Khatib shaking it off. But anytime a fighter does that, it's a sure sign that he got rocked and he's trying to hide it.
I would say his body's starting to show signs of fatigue and he's wearing down.
Yeah, I think he's wearing down a bit right now. Fritz Paul seems to be the stronger fighter. It's almost like he's pawing and playing with Khatib right now.
The right side of Khatib's face starting to show some damage, and again, driving in for that high double leg takedown. But once again, you see Fritz the Animal Paul smiling as he blocks the takedown, but no, perhaps smiling too soon.
Excellent job by Nabil the Thrill Khatib. He was very smart there. He was patient, but he's got to do something now that this fight's on the ground, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, just getting a takedown is not enough. You got to take advantage of it. You got to do something with it. And, especially here at Apex, people like to see exciting fights. If he doesn't get to work right away, they're just going to end up back on their feet. The referee's going to stand them back up. So he needs to be aggressive and he needs to be active.
Yeah, he's got to get this head out of there right now. Got it up there, but the problem is when you posture with a guy on your left side like this, you got to be smarter than that. You got to be able to clear his arm, posture up, and come down with some punches and elbows.
I think the problem here is Khatib's already fatigued from the first few minutes of the fight. He's looking at the takedown as a way to rest and catch his breath, when really he should be looking at it as a way to turn the fight back in his favor.
With what you've seen out of Fritz Paul, Joe, what do you think a possible strategy would be for Nabil Khatib from this position?
I think he needs to just really get to work and throw hard punches, maybe even stand up and just try to blast away at his head. He needs to try to hurt him or go to pass his guard. Fritz Paul is obviously in great shape. He's very aggressive. And, he's not going to get hurt there. He may lose points from sitting on his back too long, but I don't think he's going to get hurt. But again, if Khatib stays active the way he is now, throwing constant punches, then he could end up stealing the round from him.
Now, there don't appear to be many punches that are hard, but they're landing pretty hard there.
10 seconds to go now, and Khatib trying to make the most of these final moments of the round. Joe, this one's a tough fight to call. With your extensive experience in mixed martial arts, who would you give that first round to?
Well, I'd say that the majority, well over half of the fight, stayed on the feet. Fritz Paul was definitely in control. Although Khatib did get a clean takedown near the end and control really well, he just didn't do it early enough. I would say the first round's going to go to Fritz Paul.
I definitely concur with El Dirte's opinion. I think, Fritz Paul did more in the stand-up game there to basically win the points. Khatib did get that takedown, but it appears there was more damage caused by Paul's striking game than there was with Khatib's ground game and takedown.
Well, I can't argue with that. Obviously, Nabil Khatib showing the more visible damage. And if you gentlemen are have your opinions in line with the judges tonight, then it is 1 round of 3 going to Fritz the Animal Paul as these two warriors battle it out for the Canadian middleweight title.
Fritz Paul looking just as full of energy in the second round as he did in the beginning of the first.
Yeah, really, aside from the sweat, not looking any different from when he started, whereas Nabil looks like he's been in a fight.
Absolutely. Khatib definitely took the worst of the punishment in that round. Fritz Paul hasn't even started to slow down.
Paul really finding his range effectively. Much longer reach, and he is using it to his fullest advantage with both punches and kicks, although Khatib moving in with a double jab, straight right combination of scores.
Khatib landed a couple nice right hands in that exchange. The first punches we've seen him land on his feet all night.
And another right hand draws some blood, the first sign of damage we've seen in Fritz the Animal Paul.
That overhand right, Dirksen basically landed perfectly fine. You could see that, all that blood coming out there. Now there you have Fritz Paul with a takedown. I guess he wasn't happy with that match in that second round.
I think he might have been hurt by one of those right hands. You can see blood pouring out of his nose right now. He is on top. He did get the takedown, but I mean, he's bleeding pretty profusely, which of course is what the fans want to see, or at least a little bit. But in a good position right now, so we'll see what he does with it.
Absolutely making Nabil Khatib work as he labors in the closed guard. Perhaps his strategy is even to just hold on, maintain position, and wait for the referee to stand him up. Although, you gotta wonder how enthusiastic he is about standing up with all the damage he's incurred and dropping a big elbow on the cheekbone of Nabil the Thrill.
I think most of the blood we're seeing now is coming out of the nose of Fritz Paul. Khatib definitely not in the best position, but not taking a lot of really bad damage. He's just going to work for submission, but with all the sweat and blood, I don't know if he's going to be able to pull it off.
The thing is that Khatib is trying to climb for a higher guard right here. He wants to spin up for that arm bar. But like Dirk said, I don't know if it's a good idea because right now,
huge elbow shot.
I think Khatib needs to work to get on top or get onto his feet. To lay underneath, he's just going to give away another round, and the referee made the decision for them. So now they're going to get back to their feet.
Absolutely. The fighters were told of the rules, meaning it was going to be very fast stand-ups.
The referee seems to be warning Fritz Paul to keep his fingers out of Khatib's eyes. It looked like he was dangerously close to his eyes with his hand. But now they're back on their feet, and we'll see what happens.
With the amount of blood coming out of Fritz Paul's nose, Joe, do you think that's going to impair his breathing and affect his performance?
It's changed his strategy completely. He no longer seems to want to stay on his feet. He's looking for another takedown already. It looks like the momentum of this fight might be shifted. Khatib seems to have taken over, or at least evened it up.
Well, Khatib is definitely showing the heart of a champion right now. That first round didn't go in his favor, but he's taking it to Fritz Paul right now. You can see the look in his eye. He's not going to give up anytime soon. He's going to fight and fight, but unfortunately right now, got taken down on the ground. He's got his back exposed.
Absolutely. Fritz Paul fighting hard to get that takedown, getting the single hook in, trying to climb up onto the back of Nabil the Thrill Khatib. But Khatib climbs through into the half-guard position.
This is where Nabil the Thrill Khatib wants to be right now. He needs to take advantage of this situation and drop down those elbows.
He's absolutely showed, tenacity and heart. He worked through a really rough first round, came back, fought hard in the second, and he seems to have taken control. Again, still composed. You can hear his corner, shouting instructions. He looks over and nods his head to let them know he understands. He definitely, mentally he's in this game just as much as he was in the beginning.
You're right. Nabil the Thrill has been an absolute juggernaut as these fighters are brought to their feet. He's been applying constant forward pressure, even when he was getting the far worst part of the standing fight. Constantly moving forward, now eating a good solid left-right combination, but still moving relentlessly forward, pressing the action, trying to take this Canadian middleweight title.
Fritz Paul gets a third takedown of the second round.
A good job by Fritz Paul baiting him into the corner, and as soon as Nabil got aggressive, bang, he dipped underneath and went in there.
Yeah, I'd say Fritz Paul is still very much in this fight and has a really good chance of winning this round. The longer he stays on top, the worse it's going to be for Khatib.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Nabil basically had this round pretty much, in his pocket until this is what happened right now. So it's all a matter of what he can do from the bottom position here.
Exactly, and in my experience, a fighter with shorter legs, such as Nabil the Thrill, he's going to have a tougher time working with the closed guard and doing his guard work. He has to keep his guard open. That allows Fritz Paul a lot more room to maneuver and work.
I think the biggest danger for Khatib is just becoming too comfortable on his back, and for myself, that's been one of the things I've had trouble with in the past in my career. When you're a good grappler, you feel too comfortable on the ground, even when you're in a bad position. He's not getting hurt, definitely not taking a lot of damage, but it's not a great position to be in, and sometimes you forget that you need to get up.
Well, I'm sure with that elbow, Fritz Paul has reminded Nabil that he does need to get up because he doesn't want to eat too many more of those.
Joe, at this point here, with both guys being so sweaty, should the game plan for Nabil be not to go after an armbar or a triangle, but somehow to get the sweep and or get to Fritz Paul's back?
Absolutely. I think submissions, you take submissions when they're given to you, but don't go looking for them, especially, you know, in this kind of a fight. And if you can't get a submission within the first 30 seconds, you need to try to stand up. You need to get up and get off of your back.
And Nabil the Thrill Khatib punctuates round number 2 with a solid straight right to the face of Fritz the Animal Paul. We have one hell of a fight on our hands, gentlemen, as we go into the third and deciding round.
I think this round was much more even. I think both guys were dishing out punishment and taking it. You know, Khatib definitely doing a much better job in this round, standing up, but didn't spend a lot of time on top. He got a few good positions, but mostly he was on his back. I'd say this round probably by a slim margin went to his opponent, Fritz Paul, as well.
So at this point, you got them down 2-0, or you got Fritz Paul up 2-0. I don't know if I agree with you in that round there, but I could see where you're coming from. It was one of those rounds that was too tough to call. It's a difficult situation when you look at Khatib in a strategy right now. If he wants to take this fight to the ground, I don't think a submission is his game plan right now unless he gets Fritz Paul's back. Then it's a different story.
I think so. You know, being slippery like that, if you can get a good position, like taking someone's back, then it's really easy to finish off a submission. Arm locks, things like that tend to be a little more difficult later on in a fight. I think if I'm Khatib right now, I'm looking to just blast him in the head as hard as I can. That seems to be working. Look for that right hand.
Paul gets back to work with that low kick that's been scoring for him all night, while Nabil uses that constant forward pressure. We're going to see who's got enough left in the tank, who's got the right game plan, and a Superman punch from Khatib lands.
It's all or nothing for both these guys right now. Fritz Paul cannot be thinking he's up 2-0, and Khatib has to be thinking he's down 2-0. So basically, it's all or nothing in this round here, Dirksen.
I think these guys both need to fight, you know, fight for a finish. I think Fritz Paul, having won the first round, he can lock it up by winning this round, but I would still recommend try to finish your fighter off. And Khatib, if I was in his corner, I would be telling him, you need to finish this fight.
And now the fight goes to the ground, and is Khatib in trouble, eating hammer fist to the side of the head as Fritz Paul takes his back.
I think fatigue is becoming a factor now. I think Khatib is starting to get tired. His body's starting to slow down. And Fritz Paul, quite obviously, he still has lots left in the tank. And I think that might end up being the deciding factor in this round.
Khatib has to roll here, Joe. I think he's that or stand up. He's got to do something to win that. I don't know if the submission, well, key locks aren't bad, Kimuras aren't bad when a guy's sweaty, but he can still straighten and pull it up. And here it comes. The sweep, turn it over.
Khatib rolling Fritz Paul over with the Kimura attempt. Didn't get the submission, but did attain the north-south mount. Now it is Nabil the Thrill Khatib in the driver's seat, dropping right-handed punches to Fritz the Animal Paul.
Definitely a very exciting fight now. I mean, Khatib, you know, up and down, back and forth. Both these fighters doing really well. Khatib's in a good position, and definitely in a good position to win the round if he can hold it. But if he wants, you know, I wouldn't be too comfortable with winning one round. I think he needs to look to try and finish his opponent.
Yes, he's definitely got to finish his opponent, Paul. I agree with Dirksen there.
But again, I mean, he's got probably 3 minutes left to do it. He's got plenty of time, so we'll see what happens.
Now we'll see what Nabil can do from the cross-side position. This is as dominant a position on the ground as he has had in this fight. Doesn't seem to be hunting for anything. He has got to get busy, gentlemen. He's got to start looking for at least some ground and pound, if not a possible submission to close this fight out. As you mentioned, you never know what kind of fight the judges are seeing. Now stepping through the full mount, but Paul responds by snagging him in the half mount position.
I'm a firm believer of a few things when a fight goes late. You know, late to a third round. I mean, basically, both guys are sweaty, both guys are tired. Work away, pound away, forget about any submission other than a rear naked choke, Joe.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you know, you need to be aggressive and throw a lot of hard punches, and that's where Khatib definitely was lacking in that good position that he had. He didn't throw a lot of shots at his opponent, and just tried to look for a better position. When he went for the mount, you know, he ended up getting caught in half mount, and now he's stuck in the guard, which is really difficult to try to finish your opponent from.
Will that be the final turning point in this fight, Paul? Basically, Nabil, or he had dominant position on top, and unfortunately wasn't able to capitalize with Fritz Paul putting him in his guard.
Fritz Paul is doing an excellent job of shutting down Nabil the Thrill's effective ground and pound. David the Crow Loasso, UFC veteran, sitting beside me, yelling instructions to Fritz Paul, and they're obviously being heated because the fight is right back up on the feet where Fritz Paul has had the better of it for most of this fight. But Khatib still applying that pressure. This man is a juggernaut. He does not know the meaning of the words back up. And again, looking to trap Fritz Paul into a corner, perhaps put this fight away and take it out of the hands of the judges.
Yeah, Khatib looking really aggressive still, definitely still composed. And here he is, always moving forward, always moving forward.
Yeah, Fritz Paul is staying away, guys. He just knows, he thinks he's got...
Oh, huge spinning back fist lands on the head of Khatib. Khatib responds by driving forward with a single leg attempt.
That may be the defining moment in this round, guys.
I think if Khatib can pull out a takedown, which he just did, he's got a good chance of winning this round if he can hold him down and try to do a little bit of damage. But again, I don't know if I'd be comfortable winning the third round if I'm in Khatib's position. He may have lost rounds 1 and 2.
I think neither man should be comfortable with leaving this in the hands of the judges. This has been a back and forth war. And now Khatib once again in the side mount position, throwing knees into the liver area of Fritz the Animal Paul. The crowd electric with every impact, roaring, cheering on Nabil the Thrill in his quest to become the Canadian middleweight champion.
It is absolutely amazing how educated these fans are, yelling knee, knee. Thousands of fans are yelling knee, knee for Nabil. Unbelievable.
And here we go with another stand-up.
And 10 seconds left. Just room for and one takedown for Fritz Paul, and a huge series of elbows to finish this fight in dominant fashion for Fritz Paul. I do not envy the judges.
I think that's going to be a tough fight to call. I think the first and third rounds were easiest to judge. First round to Fritz Paul, third round probably to Nabil. But the second round is kind of a toss-up. It's hard to say what's going to happen.
Both weary warriors embracing in a show of sportsmanship. It is anyone's guess, Joe, who's going to be walking out of this building tonight with that Apex Championship Fighting Canadian title belt strapped around their waist.
Let's hear it for these two fighters one more time. Judge Richard de Carvel scores the bout 29-28. Judge Claude Paquette scores the bout 29-28. Judge Benoit Roussel scores the bout 29-28 for your winner by unanimous decision, Fritz the Animal Paul.
Well, David the Crow Luasso jumps out of his seat, and you are vindicated in your opinion. Joe Dirksen, you called it. Fritz Paul, the new Canadian middleweight champion.
I think that was a pretty easy decision to make. Well, maybe not easy, but that's the one I would have made. I think 2 rounds to 1. Absolutely entertaining fight. You know, good job by both fighters. Fritz Paul just a little bit more aggressive and a little bit better conditioning throughout the fight.
Well, I know you've got someone to corner in a further fight this evening, Joe, so I'm going to cut you loose, but thank you so much for joining us in the broadcast booth. We appreciate having you here.
Thanks very much for having me. It was a pleasure.
And of course, the Vice President, Showdown Joe Ferraro.
For our post-fight comments, we go into the ring with a victorious Fritz Paul, the new Canadian champion, as well as our very own Showdown Joe Ferraro.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm standing here with the victorious Canadian middleweight champion, Fritz the Animal Paul. Fritz, you were an absolute animal in that ring tonight. Tell us your thoughts on the fight.
Excusez-moi tout le monde. Donnez-moi un moment d'inattention, s'il te plaît, à place d'abouer. Nabil, c'est un good fighter. Je l'ai vu fighter auparavant, ok? Business is business. On peut rien y faire. C'est un bon gars. J'ai déjà mangé avec. J'ai déjà chill avec aussi. Ok, j'avais dit énormément de respect pour lui. Mais ce soir, dans le ring, business is business. Mon nom, c'est Fritz, the Animal Paul. On m'appelle the Animal quand je suis en dedans du ring. Donc c'est...
Ladies and gentlemen, the Canadian middleweight champion, Fritz the Animal Paul.
We're here with Nabil the Thrill Khatib, and Nabil, obviously things didn't turn out as you planned, but a great match all around. The fans are very pleased.
Actually, it turned out exactly as I planned, because I knew that it was going to be a war, and I was pretty positive it was going to go 3 rounds. The only plan I didn't plan was the judges, going unanimous. I thought at least it would have been you know, a split, but it was a good fight. It was very hard. Yeah.
This is Noor Shakir. Stay tuned. I'm fighting for the World Championship next.
This is Jeff the Inferno Jocelyn. Stay tuned because in a minute there's going to be some action with me fighting for the World Championship title.